Tabletop games provide a unique and social form of entertainment, fostering face-to-face interaction, strategic thinking, and creativity, while they offer a break from screen-based activities and create a shared experience among players. Tabletop games contribute to a positive and enjoyable environment, reinforcing relationships, and many more. We have in the studio with us Kenechukwu Cornelius Ogbuagu. He's a tabletop game designer. I can say particularly that he's no amateur in the field of tabletop games creation. And of course, this is not his first rodeo on the Daybreak Extra. Kenechukwu, it's been how long? 2 years?
2 years, yes.
Since we last had you on the program.
That's really nice to be.
You're looking sharp.
Thank you.
You're looking sharp indeed. I love the color.
Thank you.
So, bring us up to speed. What's been going on?
Quite a lot has been happening globally and obviously in Nigeria as well. First, I want to, it's always good to unveil like tabletop games. It's about board games, card games, role play games, dice game, and miniature games, so people could follow along. So a lot has been happening in Nigeria. There are new designers springing forth. There are new game masters, game nights. People are willing to recognize, like you said, leaving their screen time to focus on socialization, interacting with other humans and having that good time. So yes.
So since the last time we spoke, yes. You're saying there's been some sort of an improvement in the way things used to be.
Yes.
Till now.
Yes. Like we agreed the last time, 2020 was an eye-opener. So people saw that, whoa, so the world could actually come to a standstill, and they had to go back to, what else do we have that can bring us together?
Regular communal activities.
Yes, exactly. And that has become a surge. In Nigeria, I know of conventions that have now spread for, like we started one in Abuja, but Lagos has started as well. Enugu has started.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Right.
Port Harcourt have started. Kano is still, Nasarawa has boomed. Like I've attended Nasarawa's events over the years, so people have started recognizing that, oh, this can happen, and like it has gone beyond the old classic games like Monopoly, chess, Scrabble. People are beginning to recognize, and like I said, new Nigerian designers are coming up, like so many. I can't give the exact number, but as a company, we made games for 4 different designers, right? And together they produced 13 new games.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting.
It's growing.
So, Sagiri, from the last appearance, I think we should take a look at this video of Kenechukwu from his last interview, and then let's see what he has said and what he is going to tell us today. So let's take a look.
While we're looking at a means of curing boredom, another thing that's supposed to be on the table, of course, is education, because we know that a lot of kids also they go after these games, and while the PlayStations, the Xboxes, the Nintendos of our generation are there, parents are also looking for games that are as educative and can impact knowledge, games that they know that when you play, you don't just leave the games with fun and excitement, you also leave with something in the head. So does your games capture education as well?
Yes, I completely agree with you. First, I believe that every child has the right to play. There was a time that if you're playing, you get spanked, like, why are you playing? Or if you're playing, and there are the stereotypes surrounding the games we already have, like, if you're playing chess, that means you're brilliant. So if a child feels like they're not brilliant, they don't like chess anymore. Or if you're playing dice, you're a gambler. If you're playing draft, you're wayward. there are stereotypes. But games do so much more than fun, like you said. And yes, I've designed games that are particularly for improving certain learning outcomes. So we have a game on geography. Last year, we partnered with an organization to design games that help to raise awareness of risk and disaster mitigation for children in Benue State and in some parts of Abuja as well. We also worked with IOM in 2020, just before the lockdown, to design a game to help raise awareness for children on migration issues around West Africa. And when I was working with my former organization before I resigned in 2019 to do this full time, we did games to help increase awareness on SDGs.
Wait, sorry to cut you short. You resigned to do this full time?
Yes, everybody thought I was mad. Like everybody, I still had my contract, and it was a high pay. I mean, a work that has taken me to 6 different countries, and I was pulling out to do this full time. Yes, because the opportunity is enormous. So we've worked on games to help improve learning on literacy and numeracy. And like you said, parents want their children to reduce screen time and socialize, and games, board games, tabletop games, like you've mentioned, do that a lot. You play a game and you don't even know you're learning those things, so you're not forced to learn, and that's what games bring in. Like, it enthusiastically engages your emotions.
You want to having fun.
Exactly, you want to win, and if it means to partner with someone to win, you will do that. Like, if you want to win, and if it means building strategy or waiting for the long game, you will do that, and you won't know you're even learning. Even things as simple as waiting for your turn is something games do.
Teaches you
yes, because you can't play before the next person. So those are things games do.
All right, so can you tell us a bit about the African Board Games Convention? That's APCON. You're the founder. What's it all about? And is it an annual event, or
So APCON is actually a build-up to a lot of stuff. I'll just quickly summarize them. So in 2015, when I felt that, okay, this is a huge thing to do, I started looking for places where I could design. So that was the first task. And fortunately, I was in Lagos.
So, well, that was me in 2022, and that was Kenechukwu as well in
2021, not 2022.
Well, it's quite hazy for me right
you want
now.
To say that from 1 year, it changes, the one that we are seeing.
Have I changed much? It's left to the viewers, but then again, Mr. Kenechukwu, it's been a long time.
It has.
And at the time you had quit your job to do this full time.
I do not regret that decision.
Really?
Yes.
So tell us why.
Because like I said earlier, I've seen the growth. The process is a beautiful process. Obviously, there are down times, but when you're in something you love to do,
Kenechukwu, you've made a lot of money.
Obviously, because to say he doesn't regret.
You've made a lot of money.
When you're doing what you love and you're relaxing, and you're fulfilling your purpose, this is what you're called to do. I get calls, and I'm saying this with all humility, but those are facts. I get calls and people say, thank you for what you do. And I understand from their perspective, because there was a time last year was more than 10 years I designed my first game. So from 2013 to 2015, I trekked a lot of places looking for people to do what we're currently doing right now. And it was so frustrating, and I couldn't find, and I had to go online, go to YouTube, start learning videos. And so we are solving problems for those people. And people call up and say, don't stop. And I know how difficult it is, the climate and every other thing, and trying to trailblaze in a new industry. There are a lot of challenges, but at the end of the day, I'm happy I'm doing it. The money hasn't come yet, but hopefully.
The money has not come in yet the way you want it to come.
But the fact that you enjoy what you do is actually what it is for me. So with the economic hardship that we are going through, a lot of people are going through some mental, challenges, mental health challenges. And we know that games have a way of, taking that away from people. Would you say, I've seen your videos where families come around to play these games. Have you had any stories of people that say, oh, I'm coming here to play because I have this breakdown that maybe keeps occurring time to time just because I want to while away my time?
Yes, absolutely. So much story. In fact, it is our 6th year opening a cafe where people could just play a game, right? So there are a lot of stories, but there's one I remember. A lady, she comes in and something happened, and she shared, but it's private. She shared something happened, and she had to. It was her first time at the cafe. She had to Google and say, "Is there any game house around me?" And she came in, and she just came to play game. And it was beautiful. That day we played game, we talked, and all of this. We've had an organization that brought elderly people to the cafe to play game, and it's because that is what games do, and that is one of the benefits of games, because it's about social gathering, right? You intentionally drop your phone, and that says a lot for you to intentionally drop your phone in this age, and you're meeting people, strangers. Sometimes you come with your friends, but eventually you meet. Even when you come in your own groups, you still mix, because we always do that. We build it like a pyramid. So when people come in differently, we start them with different games, but at some point, we all come together. So we play a team game or a game everyone can play. Exactly. So that's how we usually do that. Exactly. So you even walk in, you join a table. I usually ask, oh, do you guys mind someone joining? Yeah, the more the merrier. And those are powerful statements that people say. And once you come in, at first you're stiff, you don't want to mind yourself, but after the first game,
start to open up.
Yes, it becomes peaceful, and that is what, I was reading something some days ago, and usually we post things about benefits of games, and I started seeing an angle where the actual hormones playing games, help you release, and those hormones are things like oxytocin, serotonin. Those are hormones that, when you attend a game night, practical example, and you play a game with a bunch of people. Yes. And, after the game night, you get so excited. Like, oh, you start talking about game has ended.
A lovely night.
Exactly. You start talking how lovely that night is. And you start talking about something you could have done and this would have happened.
And you're like, oh, I need to do this again.
Oh, yes, or something that someone else could have done. And, but game has ended.
I totally relate. Exactly. I totally relate, especially when I lose.
Oh my!
Because he has been talking about Nigeria playing football today,
and come back. Yes. But then again, Kenechukwu, from the last time we spoke, you had quite a number of really lofty goals. One of them is the African Board Game Conference.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
It's a gathering of tabletop games enthusiasts. So if you love and enjoy board games, card games, or you design them, or you manufacture them, or you feel like there's a career in this industry for you, because you could become a marketer, a distributor, a content creator. So as long as you're an enthusiast of tabletop games, it's a safe gathering. It started in 2016, and beyond AppCon, there are conventions all over the world.
You spoke about one in Germany as at that time, I think.
Yes. 209,000 people.
Please tell me that you've gone there a couple of times.
It's something, to be honest, I haven't. I've gotten an invitation to go, but, visa.
Well, it's good. It's good that, first of all, you have been identified and an invitation has been extended.
Yes.
It shows how much progress that Nigerians can make, especially in the business climate that we have.
Yes.
But then again, what would you say is the most fulfilling for you doing what you do? I mean, you quit your job to do all of this, so there has to be that particular thing that keeps you going, that driver. What is it?
It's solving problems. It's solving problems. We live in a country where, you've seen the facts, we've seen the realities. We need other sources of income, all right? We need to create industries. And as a country, we are super creative. We are super creative. Well, it's I don't know how. It didn't come once. It's a lot of conversation processes, but I know I have something that can grow, be way beyond me, way beyond myself. And that solving problem has created a ripple change where other people now are solving other people's problem, and it keeps going that way. So a practical example is you have a game idea, and we start talking. And instead of going to start learning all the things, the experiences I had to gather all over the years, I could just say, oh, do this, do that. And I've given you that value. And your own value is you want to create your game that will give the player that will be buying it and playing it their own value. And like I said, there's now a whole lot of value chain where you could just come play. And there's this interesting thing I forgot to say about playing games, especially for elderly people. It stops dementia. You know how if we are all playing game right now, and I'm building my own strategy in my mind, you're also building your own strategy. I cannot forget that strategy until I execute it. Right? Exactly.
You must be joking.
And I'm also hoping that you do something.
Indeed.
So that you can,
I'm anticipating. So I'm starving them. So it's just one that probably forgets a lot. But if they are playing game,
they will not forget.
They will not forget. Yes. You're enthusiastically engaged. Your emotions, everything is there.
You are invested.
Yes.
I've seen a couple of people go through. Like there are people that cannot talk, but when they open their mouth, they can sing. Because they are actually competing in their head. So would you say that, tabletop games have a unique way of strengthening relationships compared to other games? Because, every game is important.
Thank you so much for this question. Because before you came in, we were actually talking about favoritism, especially in families. So would you say, for example, tabletop games would be one of those cements that you use to unite families more, especially siblings?
Absolutely. I would. It's one of the things we preach about. In fact, we have a category of game called family games.
Interesting.
Right? It's a global language. Like, oh, I'm looking for, the way you say I'm looking for strategy games or dice games or role-playing games, you can also say, oh, do you guys have family games? Now, family games are games where it does not favor the most brilliant. So the rules are rules anyone can understand.
It's quite tricky.
Yes. So it's not a game that you have to be, your IQ has to be high. Because if you do that, that means some children might not want to play. Even some parents
the most intelligent will always
Exactly. So there are family games, and it encourages that family unity. Anyone can win. Your 6-year-old can win exactly, even when they are playing on super level ground. So not the kind of games where, because the adults will have to downplay their intelligence so that the younger ones will know. So there are family games that encourage that unity, no favoritism, you're just playing. And some of the characteristics of this family game is that there is a bit of high level of luck. There's still the strategy, but there's also luck. You might strategize all you want, and then once something luck,
it's not enough.
Exactly, and it shifts the game.
Well, great work you're doing. Great work. Okay. I think, but then again, you know, there are a couple of things that one would need to bear into consideration to have a successful business empire, you know, as in the case may be. One of them is, of course, having drive, having a strategy, having a business that you could, you know, build upon. Another is having money. It's one of the most important, finance. And in order to get this, you need investors from the private sector, from the public sector as well, if you get them. But also, more importantly, you need the buy-in of the government in terms of favorable policies, you know, that would help this industry, because it is an industry and it should thrive. For the sake of our own happiness, for the sake of building unity and communal relationships among Nigerians. So, how would you rate the responses and the reactions of investors, not just private and public, but also the activities of government to make this space, your space, more conducive for you to do business, especially, you know, in a multifaceted business environment like Nigeria's?
Currently, I would say it's low, and I'm using Nigeria as a case study, not the global, because if it's the global scale, the government, certain countries I've worked with, the government support a lot because they've seen it and they are facts. In Nigeria, it's not the case yet, and I think it's primarily about information. And that's one of the things we could only do so much, and it's a slow movement, but it's moving. It's slow because not much people outside Abuja and Lagos and some of these states I've mentioned earlier know more about this. And there is a lot of stereotype around tabletop games. So those stereotypes are first things we want to fight, things we are currently fighting. We tell people, when you mention game night, we don't want people to think drinking games or games where you have to do things you're not comfortable to do. There are a lot of games you can still play, just like I mentioned, family games. So we want to first put out this information so people start unlearning a lot of stuff. Dice game does not mean that you're a gambler. Card game does not mean that you're gambling what? You know, and playing game does not mean you have to be super smart, super intelligent, most intelligent for you to win. So those are things that we are breaking, and it's working. New people are coming in, the convention is working, cafes are sprouting out from different places, and there was an attempt to go to the bank, but it was dead on arrival anyway. But so these little things are what we are putting on ground, that people become aware of the industry. And then there also talks about starting an association, because people have started in different states, and we're talking about making a national association. Exactly.
So where you could support each other.
Exactly. Share knowledge, share ideas, and then share contacts.
Share resources.
And as well, go to like Ministry of Creative Economy and all of them too.
Thank God we now have one.
Thank God we have one. It's very important, because the creative industry the creative mind in this country is crazy.
Well,
any kind of game, you know, has a way of exposing people. You know, it has a way of improving teamwork. building and bonding, people together. Do you have any experience or any, organization calling you to set up a game for their staff to, unwind? Because it's really important when you are dumbfounded or you're overwhelmed with work and you have a particular game that maybe in a workspace you can play and, forget about your problems, because that's what other people do. So are there games that are specifically designed that maybe you've designed just for team bonding or building team together?
Yes, there are quite a lot of games. So last year, over the years, and since the last time, there has been so much. People want to now play games. People, especially in Abuja and in Lagos, people want to play games. I have game masters. We have game masters that we also share like experiences. Where have you gone? Organizations now have. I know organizations that have game shelves. They bought our games, not one games, like they have up to 10 games.
Stacks of them
exactly, in bulk, and every Friday they play, and then once a year or during their team building, they invite us, and then we host their games, and then staffs among them, maybe someone who had been to the cafe and now hosting a birthday, also bring their staffs, but we'll have conscious efforts where either the country director or the manager or the enjoyment manager of an organization will either bring them to the cafe or take the cafe to their office.
Because, if there are staff that are not talking, game can actually, kind of build that relationship back again.
What I picture out of that conversation is the enjoyment manager, which I would like to become, but that's on the lighter note. That's you've done quite well for yourself, I must say, and I really do wish you all the best as you continue to innovate in this space that seems to be quite new, especially in the Nigerian society. It's been lovely having this conversation with you, and I do hope that in sooner than later we'll meet again.
Definitely.
And you tell me that they invited you to Germany.
Yes, so
you're pondering on Germany.
Yes, well, that's the much we can take on the program. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned one or two. We talked about board games and how it could boost communal relationships. We also spoke about favoritism and its underlying impact in family, union, and ties. It's been a lovely 2 hours of the program. I had fun. I hope you did. Until next time, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
And I am Fatima Ahmed Musa.